Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Jim Gaffigan does commentaries every week for CBS. He recently did one about pumpkins. Jim's a little worked up. He said, if October were a brand, the pumpkin would be the logo. Occasionally, even the O in the word October will be replaced by a pumpkin shape. Cute, right? I don't think so either. We don't carve faces into watermelons. You know why? Because that would be a waste of watermelon. But a pumpkin? What else are you going to do with a pumpkin? I mean, certainly we're not going to eat it. Everyone has cut open a pumpkin and thought, well, this is gross and smells like wet cardboard. Are jack-o'-lanterns scary because of their appearance, or are we just reliving the trauma of removing those pumpkin guts? Joel McHale will get a new sitcom. That's pretty good news. This one on Fox. It's called Animal Control. What's it about? Animal control workers and their misadventures dealing with animals and people. Joel McHale plays Frank, and Frank may not have gone to college, but is still the most well-read person in the room, a former cop. Frank tried to expose corruption in his department, but his efforts got him fired. I can't picture Joel McHale as a cop. I can't picture that at all. Frank tried to expose corruption in his department, but his efforts got him fired, which may explain why he's so cynical and curmudgeonly. He has an almost superhuman ability to understand animals. Humans, not so much. No other cast yet announced. Joel McHale said on Twitter, me, my beard, hair gel, and my 74 teeth are very excited about this show. A suit said, Joel's acerbic wit and ability to bring a comedic lens to everything he's involved with make him the perfect person to bring Frank to life. I hate suit quotes. They're always awful. Could be some more late-night shakeups coming. The New York Times wrote about this, and over at NBC Universal, they're talking about the 10 p.m. hour, and also taking a look at 12:30 late night with Seth Meyers. Executives have discussed a wide range of possibilities for late night with Seth Meyers, including moving it to another time slot. Well, that wouldn't be late night then, would it? Reducing the number of people on its staff, that's never good, and shifting it to the Peacock streaming service or to MSNBC. Wow, if you get knocked to MSNBC, Seth Meyers, I will feel bad for you. The network said in a statement, in every scenario that we're discussing right now, both The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon and Late Night with Seth Meyers remain on NBC. Per the Times article, some executives have concluded that the cost to produce some late night shows, especially one at 12:30, no longer makes sense. Speaking of late night with lowercase letters and late night with capital letters, Yahoo caught up with Conan O'Brien. He looked back on when he left late night to host The Tonight Show and said, I really didn't want any of that craziness with NBC or Leno. He was asked about the controversy with Jay Leno. That was back in 2010. Conan O'Brien is now 59. Oh, my goodness. Conan said, at this point, even beginning to try and explain to people all the different ways in which I thought it was a screwed up situation and in some ways unjust is absolutely asinine and feels completely stupid and self-indulgent, but it was really important to me. I'll admit to you, I'm not a seer. I'm not a tech visionary. I'm not a revolutionary thinker. Talk about luck. I happen to exist at a time when the internet at that point, 2010, is really starting to flex its muscles. There was this explosion online. That took me completely by surprise. I didn't see it coming. Conan then went on to TBS. It's an interesting example of take what you've been given. My sense of humor didn't change. I didn't change as a person, but the situation changed completely overnight from I'm heading the oldest late night franchise in America, the storied Tonight Show, to that's over. It's about adaptation. I really didn't want any of that craziness with NBC or Leno. I wasn't looking for any of that. But once it happened, this is the situation. You react to that situation using what skills you have, and then you proceed in the new. What's the new reality? The new reality is now I'm doing this in theaters. Talking about when he did a summer tour that year. Hey, there's a big upside to this. There's an incredible energy in here. And these theater shows allow for so much more vaudeville, for lack of a better term, than you could do on a Tonight Show or any show like that. And that led to, well, who would we do the next show for? He was asked what he wished he knew when he started Late Night with Conan O'Brien back in 1993. Conan said, I wish I had known about antidepressants because I didn't. All the feedback I was getting from the network and TV critics was resoundingly negative. What I didn't know for a while is there were all these 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds that were watching that never had a problem with it. They immediately said, oh God, this is so weird and different. This is for me. But they had no way of communicating with us. Conan called studio audiences the saving grace. I'm naturally a humble person, but you don't go through a couple years like that and work that hard and not come out of it with some humility and some sense of having gotten lucky. I remind people all the time, we worked very hard, and I could have easily gone away in 94 and been, as someone once said, a trivial pursuit question. Wow. I did everything in my power to make sure that we would survive, but we needed luck too. And that I didn't supply. I don't know where that came from. We just got lucky. I know NBC was trying to replace me, but it never quite lined up. And then by the time they got around to it, someone said, you know, it's actually doing pretty well. I saw a Twitter thread on Tuesday that I really liked. This from a Twitter user John Sabine at jsabine214. His bio, formerly Bulls Outsiders and Beer Money on NBCS Chicago and Second City performs with the late 90s, etc., etc. He tweeted, actresses that never played Jerry Seinfeld's dates on Seinfeld and the storyline they probably would have had. And I thought this was really creative. Okay, first up, Mariska Hargitay would have played Amy, a local weatherwoman. Jerry breaks up with her because she's wrong about the weather one weekend, causing Jerry to miss a Met game. Love it. Laura San Giacomo would have played Isabella. The plot, Jerry thinks her family's a mafia family and is afraid to break up with her. Laura Neitlinger would play Kim, another New York City stand-up. In the plot, George, Elaine Kramer, and Jerry's parents all find her hilarious, and that bothers Jerry. How about Jenna Elfman as Jenny Banya, the sister of Kenny Banya? Kenny loves that Jerry's dating his sister and starts acting like he and Jerry are family. Worst of all, Jerry starts feeling like a Banya. Tracy Ellis Ross would have played Sabrina. Early in the episode, Jerry would have broken up with Sabrina, but Jerry has to return her jacket and ends up having lunch with her and her two girlfriends. It's a blast. He does this a couple times, and then he realizes he's becoming the Elaine of their group. John Sabine, these are fantastic. And Maura Tierney as Victoria. Victoria would have been a segment producer on Geraldo, the only show that Kramer watches. She dumps Jerry after Jerry accuses her of being a, quote, life thief for using her friend's problems as topics on the show. She gets her revenge by booking Newman on an episode about neighbors from hell. Johnny Mac, you did a story about Jim Gaffigan and pumpkins and then a Twitter thread. Is it a slow news day? You tell me. Adam Sandler has added 7 more dates to his upcoming fall stand-up comedy tour. It's gone from 15 dates to 22. That's what 7 does when you add it in. It'll now go until December. One of my favorite current comedians, Jimmy O. Yang, has joined the cast of Interior Chinatown. On Interior Chinatown, Yang plays Willis Wu, a background actor on a Law & Order type show called Black and White. Willis Wu dreams of getting to play Kung Fu guy, but he's stuck with parts like striving immigrant or Oriental guy making a weird face. After he unintentionally witnesses a crime, he begins to unravel a criminal web in Chinatown that brings up buried family history and allows him to experience what it's like to be in the spotlight. Quick personal note from me. I have mentioned on and off on the podcast that I was training for the New York City Marathon. I have decided I'm going to postpone that until next year. Long story short, my calves are shot. Did a half marathon on Sunday. I am not ready, so I'm going to punt and live to run another day. I shared that on my Facebook. Scott Beckett, who's a friend of the show, gave me a nice note on my personal Facebook page. Appreciate that, Scott, and thank you all for your support. Thanks for listening every day. That's your comedy news for today. You can follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. The show's also on YouTube as an audio-only version, if that's more your thing. See you tomorrow.